That's right.
6:04, call the meeting to order. First, we have a public hearing. This is the first public hearing for the block grant. Just put it up here. Is there anybody here to speak to the development of block grant program, upcoming funding round, to public participation in the grant process? The first of two public hearings to be held in the submission of any community development block grant application for the fiscal year 2025. The purpose is to information on program eligibility and answer questions, solicit comments for the city's past performance on the CDBG program, and ideas with respect to the needs of the community. Anybody have any questions, they can contact Toma at 607-753-1433. So again, is anybody here to speak to that? Documentation from their last call. Right here to speak to the proposal for fiscal year 2025 community development block grant program and upcoming funding and allow public participation in the grant process. Okay, hearing none, we'll have another public hearing in the next one, and now we'll call it to order, please. Roll call.
Councilmember Scott.
Present.
Councilmember Silliman.
Here.
Councilmember Pinello.
Here.
Councilmember Lane.
Here.
Councilmember Thompson.
Here.
Councilmember Carpenter.
Here.
Councilmember Beckwith.
Present.
Councilmember Michaels.
Yeah. All right, and all rise to see the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Privilege of the floor, we have one, Travis Marshall.
Thank you. My name is Travis Marshall. For those who don't know me, I am the CPFFA, the Cortland Professional Firefighter Association, Union President. And I'm here to speak about our annual, Fill the Boot Drive for the NBA. Saturday, graduation Saturday, Saturday the 17th, thank you, sorry. We don't know exactly how long we've been doing this, over 15 years, Chief, sound right? Well over 15 years. Last year in 2024, we raised $7,500 for the Muscular Dystrophy Association. We're gonna get started about 7:30 a.m. Typically, we'll go till right after the start of the 2:30 commencement. So we'll be out there till about 3. Corner of Broadway and Tompkins. We don't create the traffic jam, we just take full advantage of it. So if anybody would like to stop down, said we'll be there about 7:30 a.m. and we're there till about 3. So, thank you
I thought
guys.
you started today at 64.
I don't know what you're talking about. Chiefs are back there. So, I appreciate the support, and if you guys have any questions, you can reach out to myself. Thank you.
Good, thanks for all you guys do, thank you.
I turned that off, so I'm addressed.
Okay, proclamation. Recognition of the Crow County Historical Society on its centennial anniversary. To do it,
Resolved that I, Scott Steve, Mayor of the City of Cortland, on the significant occasion of its centennial anniversary, do hereby extend the sincere congratulations and profound appreciation of our community to the Cortland County Historical Society for its century-long dedication to illuminating and preserving our history and heritage, and to celebrate this remarkable milestone.
Obviously, the Historical Society has a lot of information that's been wonderful to have, and their 100 years of doing it is great for all of us, and we hope they continue for that rest. It's great to have all these anniversaries, the 200 at the church I attended last week, and now another 100 here. So, and ours is 125 yesterday, somewhere in that vicinity. So, pretty impressive. So, I'll take a motion to receive and file. So, Ms. Silliman, Mr. Beckwith, all those in favor?
Aye.
City of Cortland driver and vehicle use policy. So if I can get a motion to receive and file this, Mello. Ms. Beckwith, any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, next. Finance report.
Thank you very much. I just wanted everybody to take a second. The first thing noted on the finance report is the audit findings for 2023 have been finalized by the auditors. He apologized, he will be here, he couldn't get here until 6:30, so he will be at the end of the meeting today. I did want to speak to this just briefly. I know it is very late to be getting the 2023 audit. We usually expect to have them in the fall of the year. As the auditors were working through things, they had made a request to go back and reopen a couple of things from previous years. They just were trying to understand some discrepancies they were finding. So we did authorize them to go back and reopen the 21 and 22 single federal audits because there were concerns on projects that had been from prior years to that, going back to 2017 and 2018. In terms of when the money was accounted for, and of course, as you all know, with finances, once you do something and it starts rolling through, it just kind of carries on like a snowball going downhill. So the good news is that they were able to work through a lot of that, and I'm comfortable with where we are now with that. But that did cause us to be quite late. And then, of course, the follow-on effects for that are we had to reopen our AFR with the Office of the State Comptroller. Once we did get the finalized financial report from the auditors, which we did this month, we got our updated numbers, our audited numbers in. We are currently working with our lovely young man named Julio, who is our assigned audit staff at the OSC. We're answering questions, going back and forth with him. And this is very normal because the way the auditors account for things and then the way the OSC wants it done in our annual financial report are a little bit different in terms of how they net things. So we spend a certain amount of time going back and forth and saying, well, this is how we've done it this way and how would you prefer seeing it until we're all in the same sheet of music. So we are doing that dance right now. So I do apologize. The AFR for 2024 is late. I had promised it would be on time and I lied. So I am so sorry. But we are, as soon as we finalize 23, we will be putting 24's numbers in. So they cannot open 24 for us the way the computerized system is until they completely finalize 23. So it is by no lack of trying on our part that it is late, but it will be a little late. However, we'll have that in shortly. And Mr. Schoen, our auditor, will come speak to us today about 23. And then he and I are going to be starting the 24 audit here at the end of this month, and we hope to have it done properly on time this year. And again, just trying to catch ourselves back up on timeliness. So I did include in the front page here the unaudited summary for 2024. That's just kind of where we see ourselves right now. That's without all the final journal entries. So you do see the negative there. Recall that that is because we had a lot of reimbursed grants that just were late coming back to us. So as we get those grant funds and things get adjusted back into the correct years, those work themselves through the system. If you flip the page over, the year to date for 2025, we're off to a good start with our tax collection. We've done the first quarter water and sewer billing. That's going well. So we're collecting as we should be there. We are waiting for our first quarter sales tax from the county. We have not yet received that. So that'll make a pretty good increase in our general fund once that comes in. The occupancy tax is started to be collected by the large hotels and motels as of the 1st of March. So they will collect March, April, May, and then by the 20th of June, we will get our first occupancy tax from them. We've also been working with the Airbnbs to get them registered. That has been going well. And they will actually start collecting for the second quarter with occupancy tax. So we are getting that up and running. And we've had a positive response to that. I'm pleased with how that's tracking right now. We are still in the process of implementing our new tax software. We're working, it's going to be a Munis-based tax software, so we can get off the old DOS-based AS400 from the mid-1980s, which is at the end of its life. This will allow us to tie our tax collection in directly with our general ledger software, so that will be better. And then I've got the summary of the grants and capital projects sent over from Toma. So if anybody has any questions.
We'll comment. It's a great lift that you're doing.
Thank you.
We're getting there. It's so well organized, so clear. Thank you.
Say that after the auditor's done speaking. So, yes, thank you, Matt. That's good one, I appreciate it. So, well, that's a big number again, I want to make that clear, that's, all the construction, and we were holding a lot, we were carrying that over into the next year, it's created us the cash flow. But, we're getting through it, so we'll keep moving from there. All right, any other questions? Okay, so mayor's report. Right, I just have a couple things I want to talk about. Number one, we talked about a little bit briefly before the meeting, but the 12th. We'll be closing off and doing evening construction to try to eliminate the congestion on the end of Main Street. For Watson Tompkins in that intersection, so Stuco will be coming in and doing that night work as to eliminate 3-week long project to make it quicker to reconstruct that. As you're all aware, that was not in the original scope, but because of the brick that was gone into and cut through for water lines and pipes, a lot of heaving and frothing went inside that brick and lifted it up. So now we decided to do a total reconstruct, which means tear out the brick, go down 18 inches, start with gravel, build it back up again, and hopefully get that back to where it is. That street light is back on, that light is on. And a little bit of confusion now because of both directions will turn green at the same time, going north and south, going across that intersection. Most people are used to arrow turns, which would be changed once the two-way intersection comes up, so. So some of that adjustments we have to make with DOT and looking at discussions on crosswalks. Right now, the crosswalks are shared. And we're discussing whether or not to make those isolated so it shuts off, see what kind of backup traffic that does. But if you're turning right, you could have somebody have a clear crosswalk if you're turning right on red, so be cautious of that as well. And then we'll continue on with, the battle of trying to get the contractors to replace the sidewalks we don't like. And continue on, if not, we'll do it ourselves, and then brick pavers will be coming here in 2 weeks, and then we'll finish the Main Street and get it moving forward. So that's all good news. So again, our community is full of talent, and I know there's members here that were at the event this weekend, and a couple of them have T-shirts on, and I tell you, and I get to go first, so I get to steal some of the thunder, but what a great event. Jackie Hart came in, was a local musician and his band. They actually had another one, another local kid that was here as well. That was really does a great job. And really did really talented. And I think they used an ex-police officer's guitar, which is kind of neat. And it was great to see, Abe Brathman, the principal of the school, the first grade teacher was there, music teachers that had shared their life with Jack and his musical talents. But, I sat there and got to learn the personality, which is kind of neat. And that's a tribute to his parents for sure. And you get to hear his stories, which are great. And I kept thinking, I can't imagine being this guy's brother, during the whole time. He's sitting here telling a story about they lived on two ends of the hall and dad would sing in the middle of the hall till they all went to sleep, probably disrupting everybody. And then he dedicated his song to his brother. And it was kind of cool to see him in the audience. And that was his #1 fan. And that was cool to see that. Cause I don't know, I can hold a candle to that guy. So his smile was infectious and the talent was incredible. And it was like a good movie. Keep thinking about it. So I'm sure everybody else expressed that talent, but congratulations to Katie on his talent. Is very well done, and certainly he plays in New York City. I think Mr. Jewett and I'm sure we get a van full of people to go down and see him. It was worth it. It was really entertaining. None of us wanted it to end, even outside talking during the fire drill. So it's good, and thanks to the fire department for that. But I did beat him on scene. Right, but so I can't appreciate the talents that our school districts and everybody gives to our students, and the musical talent that this community has is just bar none. And I think that's a great thing to celebrate. So in the 125th anniversary, I can imagine how many people have brought those talents to us. So thank you for sharing your son with us. All right, with that, we'll move on.
Thank you for the praise, I'll pass it along.
Okay, sure. Mr. Scott?
So rain and more rain over the weekend, right? Thank God that giant yellow duck that runs doesn't mind the rain. Because when he went by the house, the dog lit up and I'm like, what's going on? Oh, that's right. We've got the corn ducky derby later. And the dog wanted to eat that duck, and I think they had a guy in the costume that had to be at least 6 foot this year, it was the biggest duck I've ever seen. It was a monster, but the turnout, people with umbrellas, raincoats, whatever, they didn't care, they were gonna swim with the ducks if they had to. It is such a cool event here, I talked a little bit about the, where it came from last year, but just the appreciation I have for the amount of people who show up to support that particular event. Knowing that all that money goes to youth and kids. It could have been raining 10 times as hard, and I still feel like we would have had all those awesome vendors, the people, everybody. It was just great. We did ward walks this week. We started ward walks off in Ward 1. That was really neat. We had, we had the finance officer, we had the mayor, we had, I got to be there myself, we had a police officer, it was great. We went and walked and people came out and walked with us. People from other wards walked with us just to see what it was about. People came out and expressed their views, opinions on what we were doing and how we were gonna fix it, and they were super appreciative. I gotta tell you, I think the ward walks are going to be highly productive for all of us. If you can't make it, get another alder person to go in your stead because they want to hear from representation. It was phenomenal. I just gotta tell you, some of the areas we worked the hardest on that I've been personally on foot looking at this, that, the other, whatever it is, when they came out and they know you, all of a sudden 4 or 5 houses of people go and they're there. I think what we're doing by doing this is a great representation to the people of how involved we want to be in the community. And I feel like it's gonna be super worthwhile. Other than that, the ward's been pretty quiet and we had a whole lot of fun this last week there, a lot of fun in Ward 1.
Thank you. So,
That is great. I'm looking forward to mine
You'll love
tomorrow and Thursday.
You'll love it.
I want to say thank you to Codes for continually asking people on Clayton Ave in particular to clean up the broken glass, the cups, the detritus of partying. And I want to thank Deputy Chief Cute for taking it upon himself to review a noise complaint that was particularly egregious and take further action. That really helps. That being said, I have great empathy for my neighbors who are young and have endured a long, very cold winter and now a cold, wet spring. And this weekend is their last weekend before graduation, and it's gonna be beautiful. It's gonna be in the 60s. It's supposed to be sunny. They're probably gonna bust out, and they deserve to do so. Spring fling was washed out. It was damp. We had a lovely light spring rain pretty much all weekend. On a personal note, my son Jack Gerhardt performed on Saturday night at CRT downtown, and it was a smashing success. It was a blast. There was great music. It was a good time. There was a fire alarm at intermission. People had a chance to talk and mix and mingle. The fire department was very good natured in their response. My husband and I got so many compliments on our kids that when we went to bed that night, I told him I felt like we were the king and queen of the Crown City for a minute, and that felt really special. Jack's a great kid. I'm proud of him. He has a band of brothers. They're amazing musicians. They've worked really hard. People said things like, "You should be proud. Great job, Mom and Dad." And I am proud of my kids, like you are of your kids. But my kids aren't a result of our parenting. My kids are a result of this community, as yours are. And I was overwhelmed with the amount of love and support in that theater for the music that was going on and the sense of community that was there. And the people from all stages of our lives. We've lived in Portland for almost a quarter century. And that's not a long time by Portland terms. We felt like outsiders for a long time. And then I think our status got upgraded to latecomers. But I was born in Ohio, grew up in Georgia, graduated from college or high school in Washington State. Lived in California, worked in Massachusetts, Alaska, lived in France. We moved here from California. And sometimes I think you guys don't know what you have here. It's so beautiful. There's nature right outside our gates. We have the freshest water, the cleanest air. We have beautiful architecture. We have this long tradition of music and the arts. It's a beautiful place. It's a warm, friendly place. And just the teachers, the neighbors, the administrators, the old friends, the new friends that came out, people we didn't even know who were just there to have a good time. It was really, really wonderful. And of all the places I've been, I'm really proud to call Portland home. Really feel at home and appreciate deeply the sense of home in our Tree City. And just in particular, the caliber of teachers and administrators that we have at Cortland High School. And I understand that there are 2 seats open on the board. Those people make a huge effort to keep the arts alive in Portland. And if you have a kid who doesn't fit in some ways, the arts are a great place to find your place. And they really nurtured the music and the musical theater in Jack and now. So, you know, this is the fruit of all of our labors. I'm really, really happy and I appreciate the support of this community. Thank you.
Okay, so I attended my first Town and Gown Committee meeting yesterday. And it's quite an impressive group, by the way. A lot of collaboration and communication between the college and the community is occurring, more so than people may realize. So a couple of summaries quickly. The big event was successful. There were a variety of job sites. The Greeks themselves had 137 students show up. So that was quite impressive for them. We got an update on campus parking. That's an ongoing issue. And let's see what else. We're gonna continue meeting even through the summer. So that's a good thing. Just a warning to everybody that graduation commencement is Friday the 16th, and there will be 3 graduations for undergrads Saturday the 17th. So traffic is going to increase. So it's just a heads up. You know, everybody's got to be patient. There'll be a lot of people and an influx coming into the community. Other than that, Ward 3 is quiet.
I was lucky enough to attend the concert. And Jack is phenomenal. And the other young man, Max, who is from Cortland, actually spent his early youth next door to me.
Max O'Connell.
Yes, yes. What I was most impressed with the concert, and I mean, the music was phenomenal. But how Jack would, I mean, at least each person in the band, at least 4 times got individual recognition. They would, you know, they'd be doing a solo. They'd be, you know, and it was, I don't go to a lot of concerts, but I don't think you see that as much. I mean, there'll be maybe one song that, you know, they'll do that with, but I mean, it's truly a cohesive group. So that was wonderful. I'm hoping there are some dead trees on Broadway that I'm hoping get dealt with. I did speak to Mike a couple weeks ago about it. So I probably need to say something again to him about the trees, because they are dead and they'll be falling on people's houses. My boardwalk is June 3rd and 4th, I believe. I look forward to it, and I'm just really glad that I'm not in the 2nd ward or the 5th ward where all the hills are. I live in a very flat ward and I appreciate that. Get to all you, little boy.
Order rolls downhill. So just a couple of things. I'd like to thank our codes office for promptly addressing some fencing concerns in the ward. And also thank our police department for their efforts and ongoing response to Owego and Reynolds and Main Street area with our 4-year visitors. Sometimes 5. Or 6. And, but we do have some constituents that are reporting, some potholes in the area as the weather continues to not be conducive for the best patching available. That's it.
All right, thank you. Mr. Carter.
All quiet in the 6th ward, but I attended also the other night with Jack, and it was a great event. Amazing how many people turned out. It was standing room only, it really was. And it's great for the community to come together like that, supporting a local talent such as Jack. Thank
Thanks.
you, Katie.
We have a lot of good stuff coming up too. It's gonna be a great summer.
For sure.
Yeah.
Thank you. Mr. Beckwith.
Just real quick. So let me know an Aggie here, but we didn't approve no mow May, and there's a lot of people who are not mowing, but just, I know it's been wet, but. As a farm boy, you can still mow in the rain if you need to, so let's keep your lawns mowed, and please don't blow in the street, because I'm coming around with a ticket book.
And actually, I spoke to Roy and they're aware of it,
Yeah,
so
you drive around, there's a lot of
they're, yeah,
them. It's,
they're aware.
What?
and that's why we wouldn't approve no
clogs
mow May, but they didn't bring it in front of us.
up- Wet grass clogs up your lawnmower
It
and.
dulls the voice.
You should let it out, just like you know you do, and you don't have to change it, and you don't have to change your shirts if you shit them, you know what I mean? You just figure it out.
That's not.
Thank you.
I didn't say any of that.
Thank you for that. Mr. Michaels.
Just a few things. We have another reunion for the Ages benefit coming up here in July 26th. It's gonna be their 5th benefit at this location, which is directly across from Hawaii, 3 Commons. There'll be more on this at the next meeting. I just want to give everyone a heads up, maybe start penciling in the event for the calendar. We also had during my absence, a constituent concern regarding abandoned property in our ward on Commando Ave. With the mayor's help, we could hopefully get this on the public auction list that's coming up. So maybe we can get something done with that piece of property that's been sitting there vacant for several years now. I want to thank folks for handling that and trying to locate the past owner. See if they have any intention on making the taxes whole, which I doubt, but it's worth a try. Another concern, Crown Nursing running the generator during an evening hour. I found out that the timer was just a little off. Maybe from the recent power shortages or perhaps the time change, but that's been rectified now and hopefully neighbors can sleep well now. And that's all I have at this point. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Michaels. Just again, reminder, the ward walks coming up. Just so you know, we walked 7 miles in that ward. 21,644 steps. I think Jade kept track of that. Thank you, Jade. And the,
Roughly.
you know, we had just under 30 residents that came outside and were talking to us and addressing us at different time, and 9 different concerns. Some people are asking for an overview. We will do an overview when we're doing it as we can. There's quite a bit. I don't know how many pages Jade basically wrote, but there's quite a bit. So from curbs to poor sidewalk quality, you know, from plows driving too fast, causing damage, streetlights, yield signs, unsafe nuisance trees, which we'll get to those as well. And, you know, some sidewalks that they want to remove because they go to nowhere. But some sidewalks that need to be put back in because they were taken out. So, there's a lot of details like that we wouldn't necessarily see. And it's great to see everybody. And I think Ms. Greenwood gets a good taste of our community that, Ms. Silman eloquently put in her description, of seeing people every day. So I think we enjoy it and we're doing it. The weather holds off tomorrow. We'll do the best of that. Moving on, accept of the minutes, you can get a motion to accept the minutes as presented. Ms. Silverman, Mr. Scott, any questions?
They're both in there.
Yeah.
I should see that, but.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, carried. Resolution number 1, appoint members to the City Ethics Committee.
Resolved that the city of Portland Common Council does hereby confirm Mayor Steve's appointment of Julie Ray and Randall Lewis to the Board of Ethics for terms of office ending December 31st, 2025.
All motion, Mr. Thompson, Mr. Scott, any questions? Okay, call please.
Councilmember Scott.
Aye.
Councilmember Silliman.
Aye.
Councilmember Pinello.
Aye.
Councilmember Lane.
Aye.
Councilmember Thompson.
Aye.
Councilmember Carpenter.
Aye.
Councilmember Beckwith.
Aye.
Councilmember Michaels.
Aye.
Agenda item number 2, approve events permit for St. Anthony's Italian Festival, June 7th and June 8th, 2025.
Resolved that the city of Portland Common Council does hereby approve the issuance of permits without fee as described below for the St. Anthony's Italian Festival, June 7th and 8th on Pomeroy Street, with the sound device permit also being issued and street closures on Pomeroy between Central Ave to Elm Street. And be it further resolved that the city clerk shall issue said permits conditioned on fulfillment of applicable state and local code requirements. And be it further resolved that said street shall be closed upon concurrence with by the police chief.
I'll move it.
Second.
Ms. Pinello, Mr. Beckwith, I figured Mr. Beckwith would make that one. Any questions? Great event.
Getting shut down here quick off.
Okay, well, please.
Councilmember Scott.
Aye.
Councilmember Silliman.
Aye.
Councilmember Pinello.
Aye.
Councilmember Lane.
Aye.
Councilmember Thompson.
Aye.
Councilmember Carpenter.
Aye.
Councilmember Beckwith.
Aye.
Councilmember Michaels.
Aye.
Agenda item number 3, approved event permits for Dark Horse Tavern, 5th Street Anniversary Celebration.
Resolved that the city of Portland County Council does hereby approve the issuance of permits as described below. The event is the Dark Horse Tavern 50th Anniversary, July 19th, 2025, from 10 a.m. to 9 p.m. Taking place at the Dark Horse Tavern with street closures of Clayton Ave from Main Street to the back side of the Dark Horse property. Sound device permit application from noon to 9 p.m. with a $25 fee. Be it further resolved that the city clerk shall issue said permits conditioned on fulfillment of applicable state and local code requirements. Be it further resolved that said streets shall be closed upon concurrence by the chief of police.
So moved.
Ms. Silliman, Mr. Carpenter. Congratulations on your 50 years.
It's awesome.
It's our anniversary. That's a staple. Everybody comes back to,
the time for me. Just a little history, Dave has been there for 100 semesters. Yeah. 100 semesters. He's been there.
So congratulations to him, I guess. He's probably longer than you, but you don't look 50, so we'll go with it.
More than 4.
Since high school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
George, is that enough room for you?
I hope not.
Right, yeah, that's right.
Well, at this rate, you'll have the whole Main Street, don't worry about
That's
it.
it.
Right.
Well, thank you for doing it. We appreciate you being there, for sure. Yep. We'll call that now. Move it, please.
Councilmember Scott.
Aye.
Councilmember Sullivan.
Aye.
Councilmember Pinello.
Aye.
Councilmember Lane.
Aye.
Councilmember Thompson.
Aye.
Councilmember Carpenter.
Aye.
Councilmember Beckwith.
Aye.
Councilmember Michaels.
Aye.
You're right, thank you. Agenda item number 4, approve events permit for Portland Free Library Centennial Celebration, July 26, 2025, in Courthouse Park.
Resolved that the city of Cortland County Council does hereby approve the issuance of permits without fee as described below for the Cortland Free Library Centennial Celebration, July 26th, 2025, from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. in Courthouse Park, with the sound device permit, to be issued without fee. Be it further resolved that the city clerk shall issue said permits conditioned on fulfillment of applicable state and local code requirements.
Slang, Michaels. Any questions? Again, another happy anniversary for them as well.
Yeah, big one.
This is the year, isn't it?
Yeah, our anniversary's coming up.
Mr. Mayor, I would just like to add that I hope that the people in charge of these events are also listing them on Experience Cortland, which is such a great clearinghouse for what's going on in the area day by day.
Yes, they are. They are on there. Yes, thank you for that. Anybody else? Okay, move it, please.
Councilmember Scott.
Aye.
Councilmember Sullivan.
Aye.
Councilmember Pinello.
Aye.
Councilmember Lane.
Aye.
Councilmember Thompson.
Aye.
Councilmember Carpenter.
Aye.
Councilmember Beckwith.
Aye.
Councilmember Michaels.
Aye.
Agenda item number 5, approve sound device permit for Cortland Beer Company.
Resolved that the common council does hereby approve for issuance by the city clerk a sound device permit with a fee of $100 and subject to all noise ordinances and the conditions and limitations stated below. Permit for the Cortland Beer Company located at 16 Court Street for musical performances. Conditions of the permit that sound amplified over public streets and places is prohibited after 10 p.m. pursuant to enforcement citations provided for in section 193-7 of the city administrative code. The permit is not valid on several dates in July and August. They conflict with other musical events, as well as a date in Saturday in July, 7 to 10 p.m. and the list of dates are below.
Thompson, still in?
Aye.
Oh,
And I have
you have a question?
discussion.
Sure, yeah.
Saturday, July 19th is also the noted celebration for Dark Horse. Looks like music would be going on or sound device would be going on at the same time on the 19th. Is that cause for concern?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a limited area in both spaces. That's going to be that. I don't know that it would really be a conflict as far as that goes, but it is,
We could hear one or
Yeah,
the
we
other.
can hear, I mean, we know we can hear the beer company.
they shouldn't be that loud. I mean, we're keeping an eye on the decibel level. So I would think if they can conflict with each other, then the police will be devoted to that.
Yeah,
But good catch, good point.
Yeah.
and what about, the Juneteenth? What about celebrations that people haven't submitted for yet? If there were a conflict, considering that they've blocked out every Thursday, Friday, Saturday for 6 months, might they be asked to stand down if somebody comes up with another special event?
Yeah, again, that noise, we did have an issue last year, so we had the old timers event playing in Courthouse Park, and it was so loud that you couldn't hear that event, so it should never be that loud.
Right?
So we asked them to suspend, and then they took a fit and created other problems, but with that said, I would do the same, if the permit is conditioned on how loud it is, and if they're too loud, then we can take that permit away, they can be revoked at any time. So again, we would ask and request that they maintain a reasonable level, but.
So they
there'll be
just
hearing protection inside.
shouldn't interfere with anything else that's going on.
That should be the point. Yeah, the fire department might not be able to sleep till after 10, but other than that.
Actually,
Sleep anyway, another job.
July 26th is one of the dates that the permit's not valid for. That date is actually included in there.
Yes, so they did eliminate the conflict, so if there are, so we can stop.
I'm just thinking some people, I mean, there might this is 6 months, of nights, and there might be people dreaming up great events who haven't brought it to fruition yet. Only to find, oh, they've got music already going. So,
Yeah, well, they can other events are good, and if they're too loud, we'll make sure that they're suppressed, so it doesn't.
Yes.
The only thing I'd like to add on it, that it can be revoked at any time. It doesn't
Yes.
say that.
That's why it's written.
Yep. I just want it clear, right?
Yeah,
You have all these dates, but it doesn't mean you're gonna get them all, something happens.
Right.
yeah, they would be removed.
Yeah.
Okay, anybody else? Mr. Jewett?
Councilmember Scott.
Aye.
Councilmember Silliman.
Aye.
Councilmember Pinello.
Aye.
Councilmember Lane.
Aye.
Councilmember Thompson.
Aye.
Councilmember Carpenter.
Aye.
Councilmember Beckwith.
Aye.
Councilmember Michaels.
Aye.
Agenda item number 6, declare police department material as scrap and authorize sale.
Resolved that the city of Portland County Council hereby declares the material stated above as scrap and grants permission to the police department to sell the scrap metal to Contentos, with proceeds from the sale being placed in the police department 2025 budget account for sale of equipment.
Any motion? Mr. Beckwith, Mr. Carpenter, any questions?
Councilmember Scott.
Aye.
Councilmember Silliman.
Aye.
Councilmember Pinello.
Aye.
Councilmember Lane.
Aye.
Councilmember Thompson.
Aye.
Councilmember Carpenter.
Aye.
Councilmember Beckwith.
Aye.
Councilmember Michaels.
Aye.
All right, thank you for that. Now we'll have I see Dwayne and Scott here. Thank you for coming, and you can give a report and give the overview of our 2021.
We have one more, last one.
Say donations.
Recognize donation, lease the, donations to the police department.
All right. Okay, apologize, 1 second. Resolution number 7, accept and recognize donations to the police department.
Resolved that the city of Portland County Council, on behalf of the mayor and police department, expresses its gratitude for the generosity of the donors listed below, and be it further resolved that the county council hereby accepts the following donations to be appropriated to the council and for the purposes below. Donations from Thomas and Nancy Steele in the amount of $100 to the K-9 fund.
I'll move it.
I'll second.
No, Mr. Scott, any questions?
No.
Councilmember Scott.
Aye.
Councilmember Silliman.
Aye.
Councilmember Pinello.
Aye.
Councilmember Lane.
Aye.
Councilmember Thompson.
Aye.
Councilmember Carpenter.
Aye.
Councilmember Beckwith.
Aye.
Councilmember Michaels.
Aye.
Okay, now, this is showing the.
That would be better.
Alright, great, well, thank you for coming in this evening. To review the 2023 audit report. I know that you have them. So I'm just gonna kind of quickly walk through them. Certainly, if anybody has any questions, we'd be more than happy to entertain them. I do want to start by thanking Director Greenwood, everybody in the finance office for all their efforts to try to get us everything that we needed throughout the audit process. The first document that I wanted to touch on, so there is New York State DOT requires that organizations that have a federal single audit and also spend $750,000 or more in New York State DOT funding are required to have a separate audit of their state DOT programs. And so one of the documents that you receive is the results of that report. I'm happy to report that we didn't have any findings with respect to that state DOT audit. The city spent about $1.9 million in state DOT funding. Almost all of that was the CHIPS cluster, between the CHIPS and the Pave Our Potholes, Extreme Winter Recovery, and all the related programs. Was about $1,881,000. There's a little bit of arterial maintenance, about $44,000, and again, so the total was about $1,925,000. So that report, is a good report. there are a couple letters that we issued in addition to the financial report. One of them, is, auditing standards require that we communicate certain aspects of the audit with you. It doesn't have to be in writing, but that's normally how we do it. So you do have a letter that's titled Communication with those charged with governance at the conclusion of the audit. That's one of the letters that you received. There is some information in there. On page 2 of that letter is information, just very basic about some of the difficulties that we had, some of the difficulties that the city had getting us information to complete the audit process, as well as some information about some of the corrected and uncorrected misstatements that we had, and things that we found and corrected during the audit process. And then at the conclusion of that letter, there is a couple of pages with a chart that summarizes those misstatements for you. So that information is there as well.
May I ask, is that a public document as well? Good,
They're all on the website.
yeah, great, thank you.
And then also in addition to the audit report, there is another letter, it's titled Management Comment Letter. And so there are some comments in that letter. Most of those comments are things that were discussed after the 2022 audit. And the status of those, many of those had not been updated. There were a couple that were corrected during 2023. There was one new finding that we added to that management comment letter for 2023. But that information is all there. I think that letter is 4 pages long. So most of it, page 2 and page 3 of that letter are continuing comments, things that had been found previously and continue to be findings, things that we wanted to make sure we brought to your attention during the audit process. And so those are the letters, the other reports. And so the last document, the big one, is the financial report itself. And we issued what's called an adverse opinion on the financial statements as a whole. That means that because of the difficulties that we had, because there were numbers that couldn't be reconciled and things that we couldn't determine whether they were correct or not, we issued what's called an adverse opinion. Basically, it means that we don't believe the financial statements are fairly stated because there are these difficulties and these differences that couldn't be resolved during the audit process. So that's what the opinion letter states, that we have that adverse opinion. There is some information in the management's discussion and analysis, which begins on page 5 of that financial report. It goes through several pages. It has some charts and graphs that are helpful in looking at the financial picture, the financial statements that are in there. There's also a section beginning on page 5F and then continuing all the way through to page 5J, which is entitled Economic Factors and Next Year's Budgets and Rates. And so that section is a nice narrative section, kind of a looking forward section on, how these financial statements and how the financial picture as of 12/31/23 is affecting future years. There's information in there about capital projects, about upcoming debt issuances, about significant economic changes that are occurring in the city and things like that. So that section is, I think, is really good and helpful, for somebody who's not necessarily here and somebody who's not, in the day-to-day, to get a sense of what kind of things are going on economically, financially within the city. The financial statements themselves begin on page 6. There's a couple pages of what are called government-wide statements. So those statements on page 6 and 7 take all of the funds, combine them into one reporting unit. Include fixed assets, net of depreciation, include all the debt that the city has outstanding. Include the city's share of the statewide pension system obligations. And an actuarially calculated liability. Or retired health insurance for other post-employment benefits is the technical term. So all of that information is put together in that one column. Again, page 6 and 7, and then the fund financial statements begin on page 8. And those show each of the major funds, show the non-major funds in one column, and they show those balances as well. So the balance sheet and the statement of revenues and expenses is on page 8, page 10. The notes to the financial statements begin on page 12 and continue for a whole lot of pages. There is a lot of note disclosure. There is a lot of additional information in there. There is information about the statewide pension system and the city's share of it and the share of the obligations. There's information about the retiree health insurance and about how those actuarial calculations are done, some of the assumptions that the actuaries made when they were making those calculations. So all of that information is in there. There is on page 44 of the financial statements, there is a budgetary comparison schedule that gives you a sense of, you know, how the city's financial statements or financial picture for the general fund compared to both the beginning budget, the original budget that council approved, and the final budget, including any modifications that were made during the year. Revenues were about $620,000 less than budgeted, according to that final budget. Expenditures were about $85,000 more than budgeted. And so in total, while the budget plan allowed for about $900,000 of fund balance being used to balance the budget, the actual activity for the general fund during 2023 was a decrease in fund balance of about $1.5 million. And ending fund balance is a little more than $3 million at the end of 2023. There are some charts and graphs in the back also, which provide a little bit more information about the pension system, about the retiree health insurance plan. And then there are a couple additional letters that we have to issue as part of the audit. Page 54 of the audit report is a letter on compliance and control. Compliance with laws and regulations, internal control. That report that's on page 54 and 55 is a report on the city as a whole. And then there is an additional report on control and compliance right behind it. That one is specific to the federal program that the city administers. So that's page 56 through 58. And because the city spent more than $750,000 in federal money, we had to do what's commonly called a single audit. It's an audit under the uniform guidance where we have to select some of those federal programs, perform some additional tests of control and compliance with respect to those federal programs. In total, the city spent about $2.6 million in federal money during 2023. Most of it is HUD money, about almost $1.5 million is housing and urban development. And then a little bit less than $1 million of the COVID money that the city spent during the year, and then a whole host of other very smaller programs that the city had as well. And then finally, the last few pages of that report, beginning on page 63 and continuing through page 70, are some information about some of the findings that we had during the audit process. The status of each one of those kind of, what caused them as best we could tell, what the status is, what the city is trying to do to resolve them, so. So in a nutshell, I guess that's what you've got. I'd be happy to entertain any questions. Yes.
I have just one. Will you be handling the city 2024 audit?
I have to look into it, to be honest with you, so I've gotta get firm approval, in order to do it, so.
From your side or our side?
From my side,
Well, it probably won't happen then, because that makes sense to have the same guy 2 years in a row, but.
It's been the same for two, but yeah.
What bearing does this have on our bond rating?
to be honest, I'm not sure.
Okay, how do we fix the discrepancies that are in the past that were unresolved and look like they won't be resolved? It's probably in the findings somewhere.
A lot of those, well. The discrepancies as they relate to the balance sheet accounts. Are just gonna require more investigation. Find out what the balances should have been. And try to get those beginning numbers to be fairly stable. So that the activity during 2024 can also be fairly stable.
Yeah, keep compounding. If you don't get it
Yeah.
fixed, you keep starting. And that's what we've been dealing with, trying to get it. cleaned
Well,
out. And then we go back to 2018 or 17, it's tough to get it fixed.
Yeah,
So you just, at some point, I mean,
Cut your losses and move forward.
you
Yeah.
spend an inordinate amount of time, which we did, and had difficulty getting the information or documents that we didn't have or weren't recorded. Again,
Right.
trying to keep this positive, we need to
Right.
move to a certain direction, and when none of us are happy with where we are or what we had to clean up, and we'll
But-
keep it moving, so.
so is does the future, does it look like we're moving in the right direction, and are we?
I know Director Greenwood has been working very, very hard,
Mhm.
to try to get some resolution to some of these things. There is a lot of digging still to do. But I know she's digging as hard as she can.
And we know she came in not sooner, I'll say not soon enough, and she's been doing a great job since she's been here, and I think we all can recognize that. And, and I think she knew that she was gonna have some work cut out for her as well as I did, but.
I'm in no danger of getting bored in it.
Just real quick, since we have the, obviously the media and everybody's listening, on a scorecard, what do you give us?
You probably
I mean,
don't know.
the people that can't decipher all this.
Right, I mean, so,
Do I go home and get spanked by my parents, or do I get a second chance?
well. Everybody gets a second chance,
Yeah, but we're on our fourth chance.
Obviously, the numbers that you have in front of you. In some cases can't be substantiated. Some of those balances that are in the financial reports in front of you, we don't think that they're right, but we can't. We can't
We don't
figure
know
out.
what right
what
looks
they
like
should-
right now.
So how do we cut our losses and move forward? It sounds like you're saying you need to keep digging, and that sounds like a huge.
So, I mean,
round.
really issuing this report as it stands now is cutting your losses.
Okay,
Because I think, the alternative, which I think originally we tried to do for a while, was keep digging, see if you could figure it out. So that we get a report that wasn't adverse,
right,
right, that did have the right numbers. And we just got to a point where it just wasn't feasible to keep doing that.
We spent a year trying to clean it up.
yeah, so next year we might get a favorable report because we can start with a clean slate.
Probably
That's-
not. Honestly, I know, I'll just be honest, these things they're not as fast as you'd like them to be, right? They should get better. But it's gonna be iterative and Dwayne and I've had this conversation that we're taking what we have, we're learning from what they were able to give us, and we're trying to say, okay, from what we do know, we'll do better moving forward, but there are gaps from where we're coming from that we just can't get enough information. We'll keep trying as we're going. There are a lot of things that we're doing internally to clean up our act. Some of it's that tax software I'm talking about. There's a lot of things where we're trying to fix our own processes internally. We've got a lot of things that we've done, in ways that I've never quite seen before, so I'm working at getting them to kind of more acceptable processes that are a little easier for us to follow. I'm sure that every department head in this room can tell you that I have been brutal to the department heads on documentation and making sure we're following process, and that is very intentional. We need to do a good job internally with our internal controls. We need to watch what we're doing. And if we do that after a few years, we will pull ourselves to where we're doing things correctly. Whether we ever quite figure out what these gaps are behind us, I can't say. We will keep trying to do our best to answer those questions, but I don't know if we will ever have all the answers.
And hopefully that's not necessary.
It would be nice.
It would be nice to lay the past to rest, and I see how the numbers will keep affecting us, but also the corrective actions that you're taking should show the intent to do things properly.
That's the goal.
Yeah. Thank you.
So I guess the class is getting held over because we don't get a report card here.
Yeah, it's kind of detention for a while. How's that? We're not failing yet, but we're in detention.
One more thing I'm just gonna mention real briefly, we are also in the process of during the work for this. We found some issues with 2021 and 2022, so we're in the process of reissuing those financial statements for some things that were found. So we're making progress on getting those reissues done. But that's coming along.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much.
Thank you.
It's a lot of work.
Nothing more than a D minus, yeah.
Yeah, that's,
These for that closing the pool.
yeah, it's hard, it's difficult, but we'll get through it, and we gotta keep working at it. It's, many years to create roads with potholes, it doesn't happen with maintenance, so.
Well, Beth, you're here until we get an A plus, okay?
I have great job security.
Okay, A minus.
All right, well, thank you very much, we appreciate you.
All right, thanks.
Yeah,
Good evening.
thank you.
Good evening.
There are a lot of factors, I'm sure, that contribute to the mess that you inherited. You know,
Just hope people realize. I know we all, do, I just hope people realize. You just said it, it's just. Catch all this up and have the documentation that then we end up where we're at, so. We can't recreate it if they can't find it, so.
Right, then we spent too much money and too much time on it, and then that put us behind again, and then once you have much time, so we gotta just cut it.
yeah,
You know, I always use an analogy of buckets in the room, and, you know, every bucket is maybe a department, you know, they're all the budget lines that we look at. And the window was open, so money was blowing out, the door was open, people were going in and just moving what they had to do to survive, and there was no documentation, literally, when we came in, so we're trying to clean all that up. Again, not trying to pass it on, but we're moving forward, we've had a lot of personnel changes, a lot of cleanup, we'll continue to get them on board and get where it's to go, but you just can't, you know, just start everything at zero, because
Right.
this, the ground, nothing ever hits the ground. You know what I mean? It's all suspended, and then when you start doing shell games of different projects, funding different projects, you wait for federal money to come in and you're suspending that. You're not getting reimbursements from 2018, we have, you know, projects that weren't funded from one street to the next. To the tunes of millions of dollars, and then on top of that, throw on top of Main Street, all of that all at the same time. It's inordinate, and, you know, I challenge anybody, anything, we could all throw stones, not throwing stones at anybody, not casting dispersions, but we're just here to, where we have to go forward, and that's where I'm trying to move. And that's where we keep it,
good job.
keep plugging away, we've got Greenwood finally has full staff, has everything she needs, tools are there. So my goal is to get some of those, there's 8 findings, and whittle that down to 2 or 3, so that's your mission.
Zero would be better.
I'll take 2 or 3, but we'll move for that, then next year, the year after.
Get back to zero, then.
All right, with that, if anybody else has any other discussions or questions, certainly open to talk about it. And we'll move that forward, so I'll take a motion to adjourn. Mr. Scott? Sylvan, all those in favor?
Aye.
Adjourn at 1:09.
See you.